Don't be tripping, it's just flipping. I'm a full-time reseller and I picked up all these clothes at Goodwills and other thrift stores throughout the week. Now it's time to get them photographed. I batch photograph, so that means I take photos for a couple hours, usually 2 days a week, and then I sit down throughout the rest of the week and I will list these clothing items a little bit each day. I will list about 5 or 10 of the items that I get photographed, so I have a consistency when it comes to listing on all platforms. Because if you don't know, the platforms do like you to be consistent whenever you are listing your items, especially eBay. I'm going to share some of my tips and tricks on some of the clothing items, you guys. I do have a couple pairs of shorts, so in my last video, I wasn't able to show you the measurements and things that I take for those. I'll definitely be adding those into this video. Let's get started. We got a lot of work to do. We appreciate the Goodwill tag. I just found this super cute top this week. Super cute, and it is washed. I forgot to take off the tag. So, that's one of my biggest flaws, you guys. I forget to cut these tags off before I throw the clothing in the washer. When it comes to items that I pick up at thrift stores, I do wash everything unless it's new with tags, cashmere, or wool. I'd say about 95% of my clothing that I pick up does get washed. First things first, whenever you are taking photos, you want to pick a spot that is well lit. Some people will do it outside on a nice kind of overcast day. It's raining outside right now. I always photograph clothing in my kitchen. I'm going to use my white or cream curtain right here. Kind of almost get lost in it with my pants. But you guys, this works for me. I am going to tape up the sides here. One of you gave me a tip last time to use painter's tape instead of electrical tape, and that's actually a really great tip, and I appreciate it. It definitely sticks a lot better than the electrical tape I was using, so I'm going to get less annoyed whenever I'm photographing. So I just tape it up like that. It kind of gets rid of some of the wrinkles that you'll see in the curtain. I did order a white poster board or a photography backdrop that I was going to put right here, but it just didn't work out. So if you photograph clothing, let me know what you use for your backdrop, and I may look into it. Again, right now this works for me, so I'm going to keep doing it. We sold thousands of pieces of clothing, so obviously it's not that big of a deal. So we're just going to keep doing what we're doing right now. I'm going to go ahead and pull this curtain back. The great thing about the painter's tape, it's not going to tear up my walls, which is awesome. So I just straighten out the curtain. Let's go through some of the stuff that you're going to need in order to photograph clothing to resell. First off, you're going to need a couple hangers, just your regular old hanger, and then one with these little clips. This is perfect for pants and jeans, so they clip on there. It just makes things a whole lot easier when you're photographing. Use ones that are in good condition because part of the hanger will be in your photograph. You don't want a scratched up hanger in your pictures, so that's just a pointer, you guys. You're going to need a lint roller. I get mine from Amazon. I usually get the pet hair ones just because they stick a lot better. The two most important items you're going to need are a measuring tape. You can get one of the clothing measuring tapes. I just use a regular old measuring tape, but it's up to you, whatever your preference is. And you want to make sure you have a scale, especially if you are just starting out. You're going to want to weigh the items and write that down on your piece of paper, so when you go to list it, you know exactly how much it weighs. I got mine from Sam's Club, but you get these from Amazon or Walmart. I do have one linked. When this one gives out, I will be getting the one that I have linked on my Amazon storefront. So if you've ordered that one, let me know if you like it. You're also going to need a fabric shaver. Mine is Windermere. Mine is Windermere. I got this one from a yard sale for $1 or so. It works just fine. It was new. But you want to have one of these if you pick up sweaters. It's going to take care of the pilling that happens on some of them. You definitely want to have one of these on hand. You're also going to have a steamer. Mine is a Bison. I have one similar linked in my Amazon storefront. Again, I got this from a yard sale. It's almost yard sale season again in my area. I'm in southern Indiana. I cannot wait. So if you go to yard sales or even thrift stores, keep an eye out for items that you can use for your business. I'm all about saving some money. You're also going to want some way to record or track the inventory that you're photographing. I do it old school. I just use a piece of paper with a couple fun colored markers to keep it interesting. And I'll show you guys how I do that in a minute. I'm working on making a template. Let me know in the comments if you would be interested in a template of how I keep track of the clothing items for listing them. A pair of decent scissors to cut any tags that you forget off or any snags that are on clothing. Alrighty guys, and I know in my last clothing video I was using 11 by 14 poly bags. I've now switched to 12 by 16. I get them from Amazon and eBay, whoever's the cheapest at the time that I need them. These work better than the 11 by 14s. I do pick up a lot of sweaters, especially during winter season. So whenever storing them, they just fit better inside these bags. When an item does sell, I do get this question a lot. Each clothing item is stored in a clear poly bag. When it sells, the item with the poly bag that it's stored in gets shipped in a white shipping poly bag. It never leaves this poly bag until it gets to the buyer. This is another size I like to use. They are 18 by 24 inches. I like using these for larger items like coats and blankets. Here are my shipping bags. So like I said, the clothing, once it gets photographed, it gets stored in the clear poly bags. And then whenever it sells, I ship it in these white poly bags. Now, some of the items are not near as big where they need this size poly bag. I will just cut it. So I just cut it in half or thirds, however big the clothing item is, and then I put up the rest until I sell another piece of clothing. This is the most cost-effective way that I found to do it. If you sell on Poshmark, you can use these to ship. You don't even need the white poly bags if you only sell on Poshmark. These are great. They're free. You can go to USPSShippingSupplies.com. They have these there. Order you some of these. It's going to save you some money in shipping supplies. These are 9.5 by 12.5. So right here you can see it says visit USPS.com. So you can go on there and order you some of these, especially if you sell on Poshmark. If you're not using these to ship, just costing yourself some money. Alrighty guys, another tip whenever you're photographing clothing is make sure you have something that's going to help you get in the mood or get you motivated. Mine is usually a strawberry acai lemonade from Starbucks. I don't know what it is, it just helps every single time. It gives me the motivation that I need to get some of the clothing photographed. It just makes me happy, so just pick something that makes you happy, that kind of gets you motivated. Photographing clothing can be very boring. It's very tedious work. It does take a little bit of time. So try picking something that just puts you in a good mood. Definitely my go-to whenever I'm photographing clothing. Cheers, let's get photographing. I do photograph for a couple hours, so I'm gonna tackle this pile here, which we have some really cool items that we're gonna photograph. This super cute Eeyore. Here in this bag are items that I've not washed. They stay in the bag until I get to them. And then I do have, these are all the things that I did not wash just because of they are delicate or just cannot be washed because of the material that they're made of. So that's what we're going to do today. It'll take me a couple hours to get through it. I found a lot of great clothing items this week, so I've got them washed. Once the piles get to a certain size, it really gives me some anxiety, so I like to batch photograph a couple times a week for a couple hours so it doesn't get overwhelming. Don't get too far behind on photographing your clothing. If you do, you will have a pile like this. So these are all washed, and these are all clothing items that I found just this week, you guys, that I've got washed. So I do have a UK blanket right there, and of course, you know, paper plates, but this is the pile of stuff that I need to get photographed. So I will be doing a couple hours just to see how much I can get through. If I don't get to them all today, I'm not going to beat myself up. I will just photograph for another couple hours this week to catch up. Don't be too hard on yourself, especially when you are a clothing reseller. It does take some time and effort to get it all done, but you got to stay motivated in order to get this stuff photographed and listed. Again, don't wait too long because it will get overwhelming. This is just 1 week. Imagine if I didn't photograph within a couple weeks. It would be crazy. Think of it more as a money pile instead of a death pile, and so you'll get these things listed. This is just money sitting right here, so it's not going to sell sitting here. It's only going to sell once I get it listed. Alrighty guys, so I simply just take a piece of paper and then a couple colorful markers. Today is the 15th of February, so we're going to write 2/15/25, and then I just kind of corner it off there. The first item we're going to do are Wrangler shorts. Make sure you are descriptive, just so you know when you go back through to list them that you have the correct item. It's kind of hard to mess that up anyway, just because it's usually in order. The order that you photograph them is the order that they're going to be written. So I hope that makes sense. But whenever I do shorts, you're going to do the item description. You're going to also write down the waist measurement, the rise, and the inseam. I circle that. And then you're also going to want to put under that the location of where the item is going to be stored until it's sold. So let's get photographing these Wrangler shorts. Alright guys, the first item we're going to do are these Wrangler shorts. This kind of shorty short is going to sell well this summer. They are Wranglers, so I'll list these first. They're up there. Now we are going to steam them a little bit. All right, guys, we're going to steam them a little bit. My steamer is a handheld steamer, so it takes just a second to warm up, and then I'll be able to steam those little wrinkles out nice and hot. So I'm going to go ahead and steam out some of these wrinkles. Shouldn't take much at all. It would be more ideal if I just started photographing as soon as I took them out of the dryer, but it's just not how it happens every single time. I wash a couple times a week, and sometimes it just doesn't line up to whenever I'm able to photograph. Today is a cloudy, rainy day, so it's the perfect time to get some photographs in. And yeah, you just kind of get all these wrinkles out. You want them to be as presentable as possible. Photographs do matter. The better they look, the more likely somebody's going to buy the item from you. Good. And I do like to steam both sides before I start photographing, just so I don't have to stop midway. And I don't really obsess over every single wrinkle. If they look good, yeah, just a little bit does the trick. Now we're going to photograph. Camera 4-3 square, and then we are going to simply take some pictures. I like to do a front shot, a back shot. I'm going to turn this around, you guys, and then we're going to do, first I'm going to fluff them out just a little bit, just like that, straighten them out, and then let's take the back shot. I like to do the back, and then get up real nice and close. And that's pretty much all the shots I take. I'm going to take a couple more pictures. I take a picture of the tag, the type of shorts they are, so the style, and then make sure you get the care tag. A lot of people want to see what the item is made of, so make sure you get that. Try to keep your fingers out of the shot. People don't want to see your fingers unless, you know, I guess some people are like that, but most people are not. If you can't hold it down, or if you need to hold it down, I usually use a marker. It does the trick. Now we're going to go ahead and measure these. I like to do the waist, rise, and inseam. So I just lay these flat, put the waistband pretty even with each other, and then use that measurement. So they're 15 inches across. To get the correct waist measurement, you always times that number by 2. The true waist of these shorts are 30 inches. Now we're going to do the rise, which is from the crotch inseam here to the top of the waist. Lay the shorts flat, and then take that measurement. And the rise is 12 inches. Now we're going to do the inseam, which is from the crotch seam here to the hem of the shorts. So I'm going to do them with it folded, just because these are cuffed shorts, which they're 3 inches. These do unroll all the way. So I'm going to actually take the inseam measurement of them unrolled also and put that in the description. So unrolled, they are 4 inches. That's all the measurements I'm going to do for these shorts. I'm just going to put them back together, fold them up, and we're going to put them in their poly bag. So again, I like using the 12x16s. And then we're going to fold them up. Make it look as presentable as possible. We want to be professional, you guys. It is a business. Squeeze most of the air out. And there you go. When these shorts sell, they will get shipped in one of these white poly bags. I'll cut it in half and tape it up and ship it out. One of the most important things you want to think about whenever you are a reseller is your inventory system and where you're going to keep these items. Our inventory system is using numbered totes, so ours starts with a T standing for tote with a number after it. We store all of our items in these marked totes here, so I will just open this up. We do store hard goods with clothing, you guys. So I will put those in there, and it's in T44. And then I will go over here, and you want to write it down as you're doing it so you don't forget where it's located at. But T44 is where those shorts are. Whenever I create this listing, in the custom SKU, I will put where the item is located, the date that I listed it, and how much I paid for it. Now when you go to list these items, all the information you're going to need is going to be on your piece of paper. So what I do is I go into my phone and I use Google Lens on the item that I'm getting ready to list. And Google Lens is going to give me all the information that I need about the item that I'm photographing in order to list it on any of the platforms that I sell on. Whenever you are writing down your information, I guesstimate the weights and measurements whenever I am listing. So if you are a new reseller, you're going to want to write those down. So leave a space for the measurements and how much the item weighs. So after you get it polybagged, you're going to measure it and weigh it. So you're just going to measure it from the bag because that's what it's going to be like in a white poly bag. So this would be, it's at 11 by 10 by 2. I would list these at 12 by 10 by 4. I always add an inch or two just depending on what clothing item it is that I'm listing. Then you're going to take your scale and you're going to weigh it. Make sure you write the exact weight down. When you go to list it, I always round up a pound or two depending on what the item is. The excess that you're going to have in the shipping is going to help cover the cost when it comes to the poly bags that you're using or any other shipping materials that you use to ship out your items. You do not want to cancel an item on eBay. Make that your last resort. eBay is very sensitive. If you cancel even 1 to 2 items within a couple weeks or a month, it's going to affect your account health, and that is going to impact the amount of sales you get. So try not to cancel. If you're cross-posting and you forget to delete the item off of one of the other platforms, when you're first starting out, you don't want to cross-post until you are completely confident with the first selling platform that you're on. Once you're comfortable with the first platform, go ahead and start cross-posting to other platforms. It just helps get your items seen from other buyers that may not be on eBay. I use a cross-listing app called Nifty AI. It is awesome. It cross-posts for me. It is my automation tool, so that means it auto-delist and relist my items, therefore pushing them up in the algorithm. So it basically takes stale inventory and renews them, giving them a better chance at selling. It helps keep track of your cost of goods and your profits, which is awesome. The analytics feature is definitely one of my favorites with Nifty AI. Of course, when you're first starting out, you're not going to want to pay for a cross-listing service. Once you've been doing it for a few months and you're ready to start cross-posting, it is definitely something to look into. But in the beginning, it's not something that you need to do or even something necessarily that I would say you should do. I would wait until you fully understand one platform before you start cross-posting. Guys, I'm also going to show you how to color correct whenever you are taking photographs. So black tends to photograph or show up on my camera lighter. So I'm going to show you a trick on the iPhone that you can use that will give you the true color of the shirt that you're photographing. So we're going to do this Dare shirt. I don't know if anybody remembers these from when they were in high school. It's like Dare to resist drugs and violence. First thing I'm going to do is lint roll it. It was washed, but after washing it kind of tends to pick up some fuzzies. So I always like to lint roll before I store it away because I don't want to have to do anything to the item before I ship it out. Once it's in its poly bag, I'm pretty much done with it until I need to package it up to ship out. I'm going to go ahead and lint roll this. And again, I left the Goodwill tag on there. Green tag. Pull that out. I'm going to flip it over. I am going to hit it with the steamer just quickly. It's not terrible, but just needs a little bit. I usually do just little up and down motions. Good. Guys, now I'm going to show you how to color correct this because as you'll see on my camera, it's going to show up super light, but that's not the color that it is. So first we're going to make sure we're in square mode. Back it up a little bit. Sometimes you can double tap your screen and it will kind of fix it, but that's not always the case. Mine is a little bit darker than what it's showing up. After you tap it, you're going to double tap that sun And it's going to give you the option to move that sun up to make it lighter or move it down to make it darker. And you want to move it to the point where it's what your eyes are seeing. So that looks pretty good. And photograph, move over, photograph that. And then usually when I get up close, you could tell how it kind of affects the color. So you're going to double tap, hit that sun. It's going to give you the option to kind of move it around. There we go, that looks good. Now when you are doing this, you guys, make sure you're keeping it true to what you're seeing with your eyes. You do not want to fool the buyer by thinking this item is in a better condition than what it actually is. Make sure you are getting the true color the actual item is. Hope that makes sense. You don't want an unhappy buyer. All right, let's flip it around and get the back. But this is just a great tip. Again, sometimes you could just tap it and it will color correct, but not always. So I'm going to tap, move my sun around, make sure it's not blurry. So that's the first thing. And there we go. That is how you color correct a photo on iPhone. So I hope that tip helps you out. It really comes in handy whenever you are photographing darker items, or even items that are just, the colors are hard to photograph. So now I'm just going to take a picture of the tags. Again, you could use the little sun here. Just move it down. Just like that. And then that's pretty much it. Flip this over and I'll get the RN number or CA number. Now it's time to measure. So again, t-shirts are super simple. You're basically doing pit to pit, which is armpit to armpit. Make sure you have it laying flat. So 23 inches by 28 inches. So 23 by 28. And I'll just put dare. And this is going to go in T44. T44. Again, make sure you are tracking where your items are being stored. That is very crucial. Now we're just going to fold it up. If you don't know how to fold very well, you can get one of the little tools that kind of help fold clothing. I'll link one in my Amazon storefront. I know some people just aren't blessed with being able to fold, you guys. Nothing wrong with that. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. You know, you can probably learn to fold with a YouTube tutorial pretty quick. And this is going in the tote. All right, guys, let's move on to the next item. We're going to do this Eeyore. I had no idea what it was, but I do know who Eeyore is from Winnie the Pooh. And it's super cool. It's kind of like a psychedelic hoodie. Sometimes I pick up items based on style, and this was definitely one of those times. But it turns out this brand is actually a pretty decent brand too. So it's Electro Threads. See it right here? But how cool. Look at Eeyore. So cute. But we're going to go ahead and list this. Take it, hang it up, kind of pull those drawstrings down a little bit. Now we're going to photograph it. So you guys remember, make sure you're in square mode. And again, whoever gave me the tip on using the painter's tape, A+. I appreciate it. So we're in square mode, and we're just going to take pictures. This is a really cool graphic, so I'm going to get kind of close in there so we can get a good look at him. And then again, make sure you pay attention to the Goodwill tags right here. Sometimes I just wash them on accident with them. And it's kind of more often than not, because I literally take them from the bag into my washer. So they are easily overlooked. But this is such a cool hoodie. Super cool. And I will lift the kind of hood up there so I can get the actual brand itself. I need to photograph what the item is made of and the size. Make sure you're in square mode. Get that small tag. If you can't find the care tag up here, look on the inside. down on one of the sides of the jacket or a clothing item, and it's usually right there. If it's Lululemon, the size is usually found in the pockets or zippers of some sort. This one's a little stubborn, so I'm going to use my marker to hold it down if it won't stay still for me. Yep. So I just take the back part of my marker, hold it down, and photograph. And that's all the tags on this little Eeyore guy here. So whenever you take items out, try not to tug on the neck. Go ahead and take that hanger out through the bottom so you're not stretching out the neck of the hoodie. It's a tip, you guys. Don't stretch out the necks of the clothing that you pick up. I guarantee a buyer is not going to be happy with that. So with jackets, sweatshirts, t-shirts, I only do a few measurements. I do pit to pit, which is from armpit to armpit. You can say chest measurement. This is all going to go in the description of your listing. So make sure you take measurements. I go ahead and quickly do it with my measuring tape. You can just photograph the measurements if you want to do that. That would require more time out of me that I'm not willing to give. I would have to lay it on the floor and use a measuring stick to photograph them. It's quicker for me to just quickly lay it across my table and get it done instead of photographing it. It's less photographs taking up storage on my phone. So I just quickly do it. I do pit to pit. The length, which is from the top of the shoulder to the hem of the shirt. So we're 19 by 25. If it's a long sleeve, I do the sleeve. So 19 by 25, and I go to the hem of the sleeve, 24 and a half. So we're going to go 19 by 25, and the sleeve is 24.5. And we're going to put Eeyore, circle it. So whenever I'm doing the sleeve measurement, if it has the stitch right here at the shoulder point, I'm going to measure from there. If it didn't, I would measure at the top of the neck. In the description, I would put shoulder to hem measurement though if I did do that. That is all the measurements that I do for long sleeve coats or t-shirts. So I'm going to go ahead and fold it up. Just like that. And this is why I like these 12 by 16 bags. 12 by 15 would work too. But they are perfect for the sweatshirts and kind of light jackets that I like picking up. Or you just take the little piece off and it sticks nice and shut. And now I'm just going to put it in that tote. Alright guys, I am done photographing for the day. I photographed for a couple hours. I usually go until I fill up my whole sheet. It's full, so I am done for today. That isn't all the clothing that I need to get listed, but put a dent in it and I'll be able to do some more a bit later on this week. Now in the next few days, I will sit down and list these items. I usually do about 5 or 6 each day, so it will take me a few days to get all these listed. Just depends on what I'm doing at the time, how busy I am, etc. But all platforms do like consistent listing, so make sure you are listing consistently. Batch photographing clothing and hard goods is a great way to be able to list consistently throughout the week. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't be tripping, it's just flipping.